sun peeks through the haze, and birds are chirping, serenading morning's praise. Front porch creaks as dreams fade away. America's awakened to a brand new day. Old vinyl spinning a sweet old tune. Day starts dancing under a sleepy moon. Newsprint smudges on fingers of grace. America's awakened at her own steady pace. Sips of sunshine in a coffee cup. Simple moments lifting spirits up. From the mountains to the sandy shore, morning in America, want just a little more. Neighbors waving with a friendly rise. Kids with backpacks chasing daylight skies. Eyes cooling on a windowsill so fine. America's awakened with a heart full of shine. Old vinyl spinning a sweet old tune. Day starts dancing under a sleepy moon. Newsprint smudges on fingers of grace. America's awakened at her own steady pace. Sips of sunshine in a coffee cup. Simple moments lifting spirits up. From the mountains to the sandy shore, morning in America, wanting just a little more. Neighbors waving with a friendly rise. Kids with backpacks chasing daylight skies. Eyes cooling on a windowsill so fine. America's awakened with a heart full of shine. Neighbors waving with a friendly rise. Kids with backpacks chasing daylight skies. Eyes cooling on a windowsill so fine. America's awakened with a heart full of shine. Tractors rumble, fields coming alive. Big wheels turning where hopes and dreams strive. Laughter echoes down the old dirt road. America's awakened to lighten her load. America's awakened to lighten her load.
Hey everyone, good morning, good morning. Good to see you all this morning. I see we got Huff is in the house. Hey Larry, good to see you and Sansi. Hope you guys are having a good morning. If you read the description and if you saw what I put out yesterday, yeah, I'm going to talk about Senator Mark Kelly, who we got word yesterday that he is facing an administrative demotion. And I'm going to start off talking about that this morning. Now, I called it NJP. That's in general what we call it in the Marine Corps. There's other names for it, but NJP stands for non-judicial punishment. Hey, good morning, Coop. Good morning. Okay, cat. There you go. Sorry, the cat, he wants attention, so I'm putting him on the bed so he can get the dog's attention. Got a feeling he's not going to like that. But yeah, so he was administratively demoted, and people are saying that he's losing retirement money. I think it's just the money that he's losing from the demotion. I don't think they're taking any additional money from him. And here's the thing about this. And if you guys look, I have a military mentorship playlist, and I do have a thing in that playlist where I talk about non-judicial punishment. And with non-judicial punishment, you don't have to accept it. You never have to accept it. You can take it to court-martial. And court-martial is a criminal trial. Hey, good morning, Sharon. Good morning, Nancy. Good to see you guys. And yeah, so you can take it to a court-martial. He could take this all to a court-martial. But here's the thing. He is not going to take it to a court-martial. Not at all, because he would be found guilty of conduct unbecoming of an officer. Um, as I've stated many times, and people they get very upset with me, and I do understand it. I do, but it's the reality. And in the military, we say perception is reality. It doesn't matter how you intended something, how people perceived it is what becomes important. And that is the problem that Senator Kelly has. It looked very much like he was encouraging people to not follow the president's orders. And he can say, well, I didn't say that. Okay, but that's how it looked. Okay. So all that's all that matters is, did anyone interpret it that way? And that makes him guilty of conduct unbecoming. You're supposed to be above reproach. And they tell you that in your promotion ceremony. So, yeah, he's absolutely guilty of conduct unbecoming. For enlisted, it's Article 134, what they call the general article. Any conduct that could potentially bring discredit upon the service. And it's pretty much catch all. You could you can literally be found guilty for following the law. And it's just a fact of life. That's the way it is. So there's a lot of people very upset about that. One guy was saying that Senator Kelly should sue um, Pete Hegseth. Yeah, you can't do that. If he wanted to actually have a defense, what he should consider doing is taking it to trial and using the defense of undue influence, saying that Trump and Hegseth's um, their statements created a biased jury. But again, I think that would be a very tall order, because he would be judged by a jury of his peers, a jury of people his rank or lower in the military. So, and that's, as an officer, that's it sucks sometimes, because you can be held accountable for the actions of others. Even if you do everything right and you tell people, here's the orders I'm issuing. I worked one time, there was years ago, there was a shooting at Quantico, over at the officer candidate school. It made a lot of headlines. It was a Marine who was dating another Marine. They had broken up. One female, she started dating another Marine. This guy got jealous and ended up shooting her and then himself. And the CO, which, the CO for the officer candidate school, you're being groomed for general. You're going to be a general. And the CO was relieved. And I ended up working with that colonel. And I did get a chance to talk to him about it. He was like, "Look, it sucks. I did want to be a general. I was in the position. I was doing everything right, and that instance did take me out of the running." And he said it's essentially ended my career. He goes, "I'm being allowed to finish off his 30 years," and that's when I worked with him. And you know, he was like, "Look, I've had a great career in the Marine Corps. I don't." He goes, "I knew." He told me, he goes, "Just like you being a captain, we we know that this is always potential. We could always be found guilty for something someone else did." And he goes, "That's the part of being in charge. That's what sucks about being in charge." And yeah, that's what so many people don't understand. That's what my ex-wife didn't understand. I lost a Marine in a training incident, and I was I was essentially the company commander at that point. And I remember I'd just gotten home and I was taking my boots off when I got the call, and they were like, "Sir, we've sustained a casualty and it's a loss of life. You need to come back into the office." I was like, "Okay, I'm on my way." I hung up. I did ask him some other questions. Who else has been notified? Has anyone called the CO? Has anyone called the commanding general? Um, we went through those questions. We came up with a very quick plan. I was like, "Give me 10 minutes. I'll be back into the office." And I didn't even know what Marine had passed away at that point. And we went and I was putting my uniform back on, and my wife came out and she was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "We've got a training incident and someone lost their life, and I'm heading back into work." And she was like, "Well, can't someone else do it?" And I stopped and I looked. I was like, "No." I was like, I don't think you realize what just happened. Someone died." I said, "This isn't a matter of do I stay here and it's not a question. I go back in. This is going to be a long night for me cuz someone's family member has just passed away." And she was like, "Well, I don't see why you have to." And I was like, "No, no, no. This is how serious this is. My career in the military could be over." The, I said, and she was like got this look like, "How?" And I was like, "Someone died. I'm in charge. I'm responsible. They could say it's my fault. Absolutely could." And that's part of the whole thing. Um, and she just didn't get that. And what's funny about that is she considers herself to be an expert on the military because she's always been around it. But like until you're in it, you don't fully understand it. But yeah, and I was ready for that possibility. I was ready for that possibility that this could be it for my career. Happened to a very good friend of mine. He wasn't even at a training incident, but a mishap happened. A bunch of Marines died. He was relieved of command, and that's the way it is. In my case, we did have to go brief a general. I I conducted the whole brief, even though I was not the commanding officer. I was um, essentially the company commander. But I conducted the whole brief. I was like, "Here's the Marine who passed. Here's everything about him. Here's everything that we know at this point about the incident." Um, the general asked me some very specific questions. Um, you know, what safety measures were taken? What was our operational risk management? Just our safety precautions. What type of training did everyone have involved? They wanted to know. He wanted to know, did we do everything? And I was very honest about, here's what I can tell you, here's what I cannot tell you. And when stuff like that happens, the best way to operate is just to lay everything out, because what's going to happen is going to happen. The truth will always be found out. So you want to be the one. You don't. We always say you don't want to be the one with the most senior guy with bad news. You want to be the guy who knows everything possible to know, and have been also the one to educate everyone above us. And in this case, it was a training incident. Uh, I told him, I said, "Well, the Marine who died was a sergeant. He was a very capable sergeant. He was one of the best. I, when we were doing this op, I said I wanted him to go because he was so good. And he had a vehicle full of brand new Marines, new students. And in this situation, they had come upon a dangerous situation. He ordered everyone to get down in the vehicle with the exception of himself. He explained to him, here's how we're going to get out of this dangerous situation. Um, he was coaching them. he put himself in the um, danger spot. And I straight up told the general, I said, that's why I picked him, because he was the guy who wouldn't wouldn't make others assume a risk he wouldn't assume. I said, in this case, he assumed all the risk himself and was training the other Marines about a very dangerous situation. And it wasn't anyone's fault that what happened happened. Um, and but that everyone knew it was a dangerous situation. Um, and that's, everyone knew the risks involved. He accepted the risk. I put him there because I knew he was the guy to train everyone else. And the general, asked me a couple questions, and then finally said, "You know what? This is just an incident." He goes, "You were training." He goes, "Everything I would have asked of any other um, training NCO or training officer, you have an answer for. You have everything here." And he said, "Sometimes just being a Marine is uh, is a dangerous job, and it is. It's a very dangerous job, and you don't, you can never fully take care of every risk. You can't. And I'm saying this is all the years I worked in safety. You can mitigate risk. You can take steps to make sure people are safe, but there's always a risk. Always. Even putting your shoes on in the morning, there's a risk you could fall over, hit your head, and die. It's always there. And so you can never explain it all away. But as an officer, hey, good morning, Amanda. Good morning, Teresa. As as an officer, you understand. You can, like, that risk is always there, and you have to be responsible for it. And I think that was what saved me. Why my career didn't end with that incident was because I was like, I was responsible for that Marine being there. That Marine was one of my most responsible Marines. I didn't have anyone else I could have relied on. He was the guy. So yeah, I put him there. I put him in a dangerous situation. He knew he was in a dangerous situation. He was training all the Marines about that dangerous situation. And that's what happened. Um, yeah, I think had I tried to run from my responsibilities, then that would have been the end of my career. Had I tried to put the blame on anyone else, yeah. But I was like, look, had I had it to do all over again, I would have made the same decisions because any other decision would not have made sense. And we try to do everything as safe as possible, but you can't uh you can't get rid of every risk. There's always going to be risk when you're in a job like being a Marine. So that's why I think my career didn't end that day. Senator Kelly is not taking responsibility for his own words. He is instead out there saying that they're coming against me. I never said this. Well, you're playing a game. Everyone knows when you told all of those military members don't follow unlawful orders, everyone knew what you were saying. All those soldiers, sailors, Marines, they're all trained. They're all trained about what orders they can and cannot follow. Every single one of them. So you doing that, like, yeah, you opened that door, and now you're saying, "No, I didn't open that door." Oh, you absolutely did, and you're now running from your responsibility. And I get really pissed off and disgusted at senior officers who do that. Sorry, I bumped the thing. I've always gotten pissed off at senior officers who, oh, they want the power, but they run from the responsibility. And rather than, he should be taking responsibility for everything that he said, but he's not. And that's the problem I'm currently having with Senator Kelly. Like, and I'm And with this administrative thing, you can take it to a court martial. You can have your day in court. Do it. He's not going to do it because he knows he will be found guilty of conduct unbecoming of an officer. He knows it. So, yeah, it's pretty sad. That was the problem, and still is the problem with our military leadership today. People like that, officers who want the authority, but not the responsibility. And those are two very different things. And a lot of people don't understand that. Like a lot of authority comes with a lot of responsibility. And guess what? That means you can't say things like what he said. Without a doubt, I have zero doubts if he were to take that to court martial. I have zero doubts that he would be found guilty. None. Like it is conduct unbecoming of an officer. You shouldn't have made that video. You shouldn't have been a part of it. You made that choice. But he's not talking about the choice he made. He's talking about everyone else. He's trying to shift the responsibility of it. So, yeah, um, that was always going to be, and I said it when all that, well, accountability is responsibility. Untrackable. Which, thank you for being here this morning, and I appreciate your comments. Yeah, accountability is responsibility. You take responsibility um, for everything under your charge. Yeah, you take responsibility, and accountability is a part of that responsibility. And you should expect to be held accountable and not be upset about it. But yeah, that's what you're seeing out of Senator Kelly is he's talking about everyone else, not himself. And he's absolutely, that was conduct unbecoming. Absolutely. And it's like, well, here's the thing. If he didn't want to be held responsible, he didn't have to take a retirement. You realize that? If you do all those years in the military and you say, you know what, I'm gonna be a senator, I'm gonna make all this money as an astronaut, keep your retirement money, keep all your benefits, guess what? At that point, he would not be subject to the UCMJ. But he accepted he and you sign that when you retire. You say, yeah, I understand I'm still accountable to the UCMJ by taking on my by taking these retirement benefits. You say, oh, I can be recalled to active duty until I reach a certain age. 100%. And that's a lot of civilians don't understand that. A lot of them. And even some military veterans don't understand it. I've seen that too. Which, there are things even like I was talking to someone about this administrative discharge and I said, I'm calling it NJP because that's what it is. It's non-judicial punishment. I go, when I post this, will I get veterans who come at me and say it's not NJP? Yes, I'm expecting that. And he was like, well, why don't you change it? I go, first off, because it's insignificant. I go, I would ask him, did he get punished? Yeah. Was it non-judicial? Was there a court involved? No. But there you go. It's non-judicial punishment. I'm not going to play semantics with it. So I said, I'm going to put it out as that because when you tell someone it's non-judicial punishment, there's a mind frame about it. Like everyone understands, okay, this is what is involved with this. Now, is it an administrative process? Yes. Is it different than when you're on active duty? Absolutely. But that's the understanding. So could I get down in the weeds? Absolutely. But here's the thing. It's funny when the media talks about it because I've read a bunch of articles yesterday. None of them are talking about any of the specifics. And I'm like, yeah, see, they don't even know. Like they don't know enough about how veterans, because this is not exactly, this does happen, but it's not an everyday thing. I've seen it only happen about 3 or 4 times in my 20 plus years in the military and being a veteran. So it's not an everyday thing. It does happen, it exists, but I'm not going to say, oh, I fully understand the process. No, there's minute details and stuff that I've never had to utilize with this. So I'm not going to say I'm an expert. I would say I'm uh, very experienced with NJP. I've NJP'd people myself. I've written charge sheets on people for NJP. I've been threatened with NJP. I told people, well, that's bullshit, and I'm not going to accept it. Instead, I'm going to take it to a court martial, where I will be found not guilty. So you do what you need to do. I don't care. Yeah, I had one officer who threatened me with NJP once, and I was like, "You can do that. I'll take it to court martial, and you'll be embarrassed." I've got no problem embarrassing you in front of the command. None whatsoever. Let's do this. Responsibility is okay. You're saying response is answering a question, accountability is about value. Okay, you are correct. But responsibility is means accepting accountability. Like it's the overarching. If if you say you are giving me the authority and I am accepting the responsibility, meaning I am accepting any accountability that comes as part of this. And accountability is a term used a lot in the military. For you civilians watching, it's used every single day. Not everybody, a lot of people preach it. Not everybody practices it in the military. I've seen a lot of, mainly senior guys. At the junior ranks, accountability happens every single day. It really does. It's easy to hold junior enlisted accountable. The problem is the senior enlisted and the officers. That's where accountability becomes an issue because there are people in the military not willing to hold each other accountable, which is complete and total bullshit. That's the problem with the military. It's complete and total bullshit. It, the military I grew up in, leaders they have more uh, authority, which means they accept more responsibility. But there are people, and I saw this at a certain point in the Marine Corps, and I really didn't like the direction the military was going. Um, when Obama, when that administration was cutting people out, a lot of people who were the people who would shirk their responsibility, a lot of those people were the ones who stayed, whereas the people who were willing to accept responsibility, they were the ones being showed the door, and we're like, okay, self reflection, acceptance, and a goal plan internally. Well, you're talking about integrity there. Self reflection, acceptance, yeah, that's integrity. Well, and untrackable, that's exactly what you're not seeing out of Senator Kelly. Everything he's talking about is an excuse. If I were in his shoes and I felt as strongly as he feels about unlawful orders and Trump, I would be like, yeah, I said all that shit. I said all that shit, and I'll say it again today, and I believe in it. Fucking court martial me. That would be him accepting the responsibility of what he said. But he's not doing that. He's out there. attacking, saying, "Well, this is Hegseth, and dude, he's doing that," rather than saying, "No, I believe." And you know the thing is, I would respect him more if he said, "Yeah, I said all this. I believe all this. Court martial me. Take my rank. Take my money. I don't give a shit because this is what I believe." He's not doing that. He is not doing that at all. Anyone who says this is bullshit, show me where he's saying that, where he's accepting the responsibility of what he said. Because it's just not happening. It's not. Uh, I, I I do want to address something here. This has been well. I'll get to it. Oh yeah, I'm not taking anything you're saying on track, but we're having a conversation. Yeah, trust me, I get it. I 100% get it. Um, yeah, and there are people out there who would think, yeah, by you saying what you're saying, they would think that, oh, this untrackable's talking. No, we're having a discussion. And I'm also for anyone that's been here before, you know that I am not afraid of debate. Not at all. Debate is about exchanging information. And the more we debate, the stronger and better our opinions and solutions become. Like I've told people before, in the military, I was told that my ideas sucked. I was told that I sucked. Like you get, if you're going in the military, you better have some thick freaking skin because people are going to tell you you don't know what you're talking about every single day. I can say this: everyone who told me I sucked or I didn't know what I was talking about, in the end, I was proven right. I remember, this is a fun story. Um, I had a CO who he had made this order and said, everyone who works directly for me will do these three things. And he talked about like training things that we had to do. And fine, that was fair. And one of them was talking about going, everyone's going to go to the rifle range. We're not going to sign any waivers for anyone on my staff. Okay, that's fine. Um, so he said that at the beginning of the training year. So I went back and I told my sergeant, I want you to come up with a training plan. And I said, here's my priorities that I want. Pretty much I was saying was all the junior enlisted get to go first because there's limited spaces for shooting the rifle and the pistol, and they need it for promotion. So I wanted to make sure all my guys were eligible for promotion. So I said, they shoot first. So uh, pretty much the new fiscal year begins in October. All all or most of all of my junior enlisted had all fired by April. They all did their stuff. So then it came time for our leadership and our junior enlisted who weren't available, like people who were TAD or who had been at a school or something. Then it was our turn. And I remember because I was going to spend my birthday at the rifle range. Um, so I'm doing all my stuff to prepare, or I did get out to the range and I fired. You get a week at the range. And my first day, I fired. Fine. Everything's good. S- I'm I'm already like you have to when you're gonna shoot, you have to be in a certain headspace and you know, uh there's things you need to do to shoot well. And I was already doing all those things. So I been given the chance to qualify, I would have done it. So yeah, I was given the chance or I was not given the chance to qualify because on day two, um, our coach, one of our coaches didn't show. So the range safety officer said, "Okay, well, we," because they were like, "We're down a coach." Well, coaches are necessary for safety reasons. So he said, I want you to drop the senior man off of their detail and make them a coach for the day. I was the senior guy. I got dropped. It wasn't I didn't do anything wrong. We needed a coach. So now I can't shoot. So I have to spend my whole day standing there being a coach for other Marines. That's fine. But I asked him, I said, can I shoot tomorrow? No, you're dropped. You're dropped from the detail for good, which means I've now just wasted all my time. I got to come back and do this all again. So that's fine. So I get back to my office. Yeah, they dropped me because one fucking Marine couldn't read his email and pay attention to his fucking calendar. Is what it is. Fine. I'll accept it. So I said, okay, put me on the next one. So it's now June. They put me on another detail. Okay. This time, the same CO who said everyone's going to do this pulled me from the detail and said, I need you to do these things. Okay, that's fine. I'll do it. So I'm dropped from a second detail. So I do all the things he asked me to do. Fine. But now we're mid-June. Again, remember the fiscal year ends in October. And guess what? Now this is now the time where all the other sections are like, oh shit, we're in the final quarter. Not all of our guys who need this training for promotion, not all of them are we're running out of spaces because they can only do so many people at the rifle range at a time. So I'm trying to get onto a detail, and the company gunny's like, hey, sir, I'm trying to fit you in. Problem is, all these other guys who gaffed all their shit off all year long, they now are realizing they need to get their people in. So I was like, that's fine. I understand it. Just if you can get me in, get me in. Well, guess what? They didn't get me in. Wasn't because I wasn't trying. Well, now September rolls around, and now, all the spots have already been taken. And I get called into the CEO's office, and he's pissed. And he's like, you're the one person on my staff who didn't fire the rifle. And I know I gave a direct order, and I could court-martial you. I was like, oh, okay. I could court-martial you because you didn't follow my order. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening, and he told me I was the worst officer he had ever seen because I didn't follow his order, right? He actually used those words. I'm like, okay. I'm sitting there, I'm taking my lumps. I suck. I get it. Okay. And he's going off on this rant, and finally he finishes up and he goes, so what do you have to say for yourself? I'm like, well, I said, sir, if I were in your position, and you feel as strongly as you do, yeah, you should court-martial me. I go, but if I were you, I wouldn't do it because you're just going to make yourself look stupid. And he sat back and he's like, how do you figure? I go, well, I was dropped in May from the rifle range because we had a NCO in this battalion who couldn't read a fucking calendar. And I said, the way I see it, that's that Marine being UA. And nobody held that Marine accountable. Nobody put him up for office hours. Nobody, he didn't even get a counseling for that. No one is teaching that Marine, here's how you should be as a leader. I go, but I was punished. That's fine. I didn't shoot in May. I went back in June, and you pulled me off of that detail because you needed me to do this other training. No one else could do it, only I. And I said, and after that, we were out of space. And I said, but here's one thing I will tell you. I couldn't get a space because all these Marines needed it for promotion. He goes, well, yeah, that's why. He goes, I want all of our Marines to get promoted. I go, me too. Guess what? All of my E4s and below had all fired by February. All of my E5s and below had all fired by April. I go, that was my training plan. I go, I was last. I was the last priority because if there was ever going to be failure, it was going to be on my shoulders, on my back. I go, and here's the thing. I don't need this for promotion. You don't have to sign me up for any type of waiver. You just put a line in uh in my fit rep that says Captain Arthur uh was on the detail to fire the rifle, but due to operational commitments was pulled off of it. That I said that's all you have to do. Just put that in my fit rep and no one's going to care. I go, but all the Marines who need it for promotion, they all got it from me. Like they've been eligible for promotion uh by quarter 2, before quarter 2 was finished. I go, so I did right by every single one of my Marines. I did right by your battalion. So if you want, I go, and you're the one who pulled me off that second thing. I go, so if you want to embarrass yourself in a court martial me. I will embarrass the fuck out of you. And I said, and then I'm gonna bring in my sergeant who's gonna tell the jury what I told after you gave me that order. And they're gonna see that I was diligently following your orders. And he wasn't happy with me after I said that because I was challenging him. I was willing to take responsibility for the decisions I made. Here's one thing about that CEO. For as much as he talked, a couple months later, he was doing his command relief. And while that was going on, and this was not even 6 months later, it was just a few months later, while he was preparing for his relief, we had a Marine and his family get struck by a drunk driver. That motherfucker shows up to the ER, drunk, had driven himself to comfort this Marine and his family. They lost children, and he's drunk. He's drunk. He didn't do his normal relief. The general, when that got to the general was like, yeah, he's immediately relieved. We're not gonna do a ceremony. We're just gonna put the new CO in. No ceremony for change of command. Imagine going 2 years in a command role and you get relieved of command in your last week. That's what happened. So that's the one guy who told me I was the worst officer he had ever seen. Okay, I'll accept that. Fine, whatever. He was relieved of command because he was a piece of shit. So the fact that that guy didn't respect me, I don't care. he was, he was, well, actually, he wasn't the worst commanding officer I'd ever seen in the Marine Corps. There was one more that was way worse than him. But yeah, fuck that guy. I'm glad he doesn't respect me. I don't give a shit because guess what? I don't respect him. When you lose as a leader, you are responsible. Fucking you up means you'll never fail again, but you will. It doesn't bring them back. Yeah, everyone will fail. Everyone will fail. It's how you respond to failure. How you respond to failure that shows what type of person and what type of leader you are. And that's why I've been doing the Military Mentorship Mondays. Seriously, if you guys send that playlist, if you know of anyone in the military, send them that playlist. And I challenge anyone with anything in there, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Because here's the thing, I can be wrong. And if someone disagrees with anything in there, I would much rather have the discussion. Hey, Greg, good to see you this morning. So yeah, that's the thing. By arguing and debating, that's how things get better. And that's why I never had a problem with someone in the military telling me I sucked or I didn't know what I was talking. Okay, let's figure this out. It was rare that if someone was telling me that they had a better solution. What I found, people saying that their ideas sucked. And that was how they dealt with it. Saw a lot of that. Saw a lot of people who, as we would say, were faking the funk. Guys who on paper looked like they were amazing. And you'll see this. You start talking to people in the military, there's always those guys who they're good PT or they shoot the rifle well. And because of those couple things, oh, this guy's amazing. But what you find is that guy can just naturally run and shoot. They can't lead. But those are the metrics that the military puts its most emphasis on. I do want to talk about this story before we go. So yeah, Grok users tell Grok to undress women and girls in photos. It's saying yes. You know what this is? People found out you can go to Grok because this is really not a like it's really not a bad thing. You can say, "Hey Grok, put this person in a bikini," and it will. Like it's a bikini. Like if you're comfortable with women being in bikinis, then you should be okay with this. And I guarantee you, Tatum Hunter here, the writer of this, is probably um, is probably a feminist, self-described feminist, who would say that women should be topless in public. Okay, I'll listen to that. I will listen to that. Um, According to the Supreme Court, we get to decide what is obscene, and it's at a local level. We get to decide what's obscene. So someone like Tatum would say, "Oh yeah, you should do this." But then, if you're telling me that women should be able to go topless, and then you're getting mad about people telling Grok to put, and it's not just women. It's they're making out like it's just women. No, they're doing it to men too. I saw where someone said Senator Kelly in a bikini, and it put a man in a bikini. Like it's funny. Just stop having fun with the AI. Yeah. Spread her legs, requested one user. Shots, make her show her ass, asked another. Like it's not showing any type of nudity. So people need to stop. Like this is not a sexist thing. They're doing it to men too. Like it's just people are just having fun with it. And this is why this is so dishonest, and this is why people have a problem with our media here. People like Tatum Hunter. Let's look at Tatum. Oh yeah, San Francisco. Yeah. Xavier University, BA in economics. Guaranteed she's a feminist. And it's like, why? Like, why are you here's what it is. This is the I want this for me, but not for thee. Like, if you want women to be able to, do all these things, right? Then guess what? That means I can say, "Hey Grok, put them in a bikini. Hey Grok, put them in a sexy pose." Like, you you it's got to go both ways. It's got to go both ways. If not, it's intellectually dishonest. But there's a lot of women out there who don't want any type of accountability. They just want to claim being a victim and scream at everyone else. And that's exactly what this is. 100% that's what this is. And there's a Facebook group out there that's going to say, "See, he hates women because I say this." No, I don't. There's a lot of women who want to be victims and who don't want to be accountable. I'm sorry. If men can be accountable, women should be accountable. That's the way it is. Um, okay. I'm going to end the show here in a little bit. I'm just looking to see what else is going. Smaller houses lead to happier lives. I can see that. Uh, I'm a serious online gambler, made $400,000 betting on Maduro's capture. Okay. Mhm. George Conway's gonna run for Congress. Oh, what a fucking loser. I'm not seeing anything else uh good happening here. I am gonna get going. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all your questions, comments. I do have a thing scheduled to come out today, later on today. It's a funny thing. So yeah, watch our YouTube shorts. That'll be coming up. And yeah, thank you for being worth serving.
Coffee brewing as the sun peeks through the haze. Birds are chirping, serenading morning's praise. Front porch creaks as dreams fade away. America's awakened to a brand new day. Old vinyl spinning a sweet old tune. Day starts dancing under a sleepy moon. Loose print smudges on fingers of grace. America's awakened at her own steady pace. Sips of sunshine in a coffee cup. Simple moments lifting spirits up. From the mountains to the sandy shore. Morning in America, want just a little more. Neighbors waving with a friendly rise. Kids with backpacks chasing daylight skies. Eyes cooling on a windowsill so fine. America's awakened with a heart full of shine. Old vinyl spinning a sweet old tune. Day starts dancing under a sleepy moon. Newsprint smudges on fingers of grace. America's awakened at her own steady pace. Sips of sunshine in a coffee cup. Simple moments lifting spirits up. From the mountains to the sandy shore. Morning in America, wanting just a little more. Neighbors waving with a friendly rise. Kids with backpacks chasing daylight skies. Eyes cooling on a windowsill so fine. America's awakened with a heart full of shine. Neighbors waving with a friendly rise. Kids with backpacks chasing daylight skies. Eyes cooling on a windowsill so fine. America's awakened with a heart full of shine. Tractors rumble, fields coming alive. Big wheels turning where hopes and dreams strive. Laughter echoes down the old dirt road. America's awakened to lighten her load. America's awakened to lighten her load.